All right, so tonight what we're going to talk about is the Guide by Your Side outreach, how we do it, why we do it, what it looks like. We'll kind of go through those things, those questions first, and then the end of the presentation will be the actual outreach PowerPoint that we have created that you guys can use, whether you're on the phone and just talking to somebody and you want to
Eva has arrived.
To kind of keep you on track. You can utilize it that way. If you want to use it in person, whether, again, you print it out and you just flip through the slides if it's just a couple people, or if you move that or have that on your flash drive and then take your flash drive to them, plug it in their computer and pull it up on their computer or their screen, their projector, and give the presentation that way. So one of the things that when we first started Guide by Your Side was outreach for us was the walk for hearing. And when the girls were little, when I'd push them in the stroller because there's no way they'd make the walk around the park. And I hung Guide by Your Side posters from the sides of the stroller, and it actually worked out quite well. I met families along the way, and it's a lot easier, you know, to start a conversation that way than just walking up to some random person saying, hey, have you heard about Guide by Your Side? And them not, like, slugging you. And then, you know, when you're at a walk, a lot of times it's family, friends, extended relatives and stuff, so, you know, you don't know if that person necessarily is the parent or not. So it was a really easy way. And honestly, this is the only picture I think I have of the three of them semi-happy, all looking kind of well. So, but kids look extremely different now, 3 years later. All right, so we're going to get on pre-test questions. Here we go. Tap them in the box to me, please. And only one at a time, and make sure you put the number in front of it. So number one, you can provide outreach to professionals by A, manning a booth at an expo or conference, B, sending a letter or send out card to business contacts, C, giving a Guide by Your Side presentation at a conference, D, visiting an office or provider and giving them a presentation, or E, all of the above. All right. Question 2. When you provide outreach, you should send in a completed outreach form, true or false? Okay. Question 3. By doing outreach with providers, they learn how and which families can enroll in Guide by Your Side, true or false? Okay. Question 4. The mission of Guide by Your Side is to A, change the world for children who have a hearing loss, B, provide unbiased information and resources, C, tell families what to do because no one told us, D, provide as much outreach as humanly possible, or E, answers C and D. All right. Question 5. Guide by Your Side parent guides are so well trained that they can stand in for the audiologist when the family needs help troubleshooting audiological equipment. True or false? All right, wonderful. So we're going to get started. So Eva has had a sneak peek at this presentation because she has already done some outreach, so we did some pre-training here. So sorry if it's old hat. But what do you say when people ask, you know, what do you do? Do you tell them about Guide by Your Side? Do you not? You know, it's different, I think, in different situations, family, friends, and so forth. But I want you to kind of start thinking about, you know what, even though this might be very part-time or, you know, just something you kind of do on the side, however you look at it, you should be proud of what you do and what your journey has led you to do. And you never know who knows someone, right? So you got to think of, what can I say to them that's going to make a lasting impression? And so I came up with these ideas, not saying that you could use this, but you got to kind of think outside of the box, and that's what I'm hoping that you'll see with these. And so what would you think if a friend said to you, well, I'm a superhero. I lead families on their journey of raising a child with hearing loss by offering them support and resources that I've gained from my experiences of raising my son. Or, I'm a lifeguard. I rescue families with children who have a hearing loss by offering them support and resources that I've gained from my experiences raising my son. So I hope you get the idea here where I'm going. I'm a personal trainer. I inspire families with children who have a hearing loss by offering them support and resources that I've gained from experiences raising my son. And you can kind of say that it's all pretty much the same two sentences. I'm a contractor. I assist other families just like mine to build a strong foundation by offering them support and resources that I've gained from my experiences raising my son. So keep in mind, what is your elevator speech? What would you say if you got in an elevator, you had probably, 30 seconds to explain what you do before you hit your floor and that person gets off or you've got to get off? So think of, what would you tell them? I work for GBYS, a one-on-one parent support program. I offered unbiased parent support and resources to families with children who have a hearing loss. And always keep in mind when you say things about children with hearing loss, families with hearing loss, that you always put the child first. You always want to use people-first language. So you never want to say deaf children or hearing-impaired kids. You always want to put the kids first. And, I hope you keep that in mind that, I'm sure you think of that you don't want your kid labeled. And so essentially people-first language is doing that. It's removing the labels, putting the child first, that label second. So get in the habit of saying children who have a hearing loss and so forth. Now, if I met somebody and they asked or said something to refer to my son, I might say, well, my son is deaf. Or, I don't know if I would necessarily say deaf son, but again, it's all too with the labels that we're comfortable with. And so we, over the years, are comfortable with deaf. And my son, that's the term he prefers, and so that's what we utilize. Each family is different. I spoke to a family this past week, and that was their thing. Well, what do I call my son? Is he deaf? Is he hearing impaired? Does he have a hearing loss? I don't know what to say. Well, and I essentially said to her, what are you comfortable with? It's all what you want to say. And so, again, people-first language is very friendly. It's non-threatening, and the way to go. So kind of keep in mind, what would you say if you had those 30 seconds, and practice that so that you're not all falling all over yourself when the time does come. So professional outreach, why is it important? Creates awareness of GBYS. It allows for referrals to come into our program. That allows more families to receive the services that they need and the resources that they're looking for. We can offer a bridge between professionals and families. So essentially, sometimes families don't know who to go to for help. And so we will work as kind of a liaison to connect them with those professionals, but at the same time, those professionals connect us with those families. And what professionals see is that the more a family receives support from our parent guides, the healthier the family is, and then the more likely that family is to have a better outcome with their child and regularly follow up to appointments and so forth. The more comfortable they are with the diagnosis, the greater growth within the family. So 5 different ways to provide outreach. In the past, we've only focused on 4, but in this past year, we've stepped it up a notch, and we're going to go through those 5 different ways. The first option being to send out a simple letter or card, in which we do both have pretty much the meat and potatoes of what to put in these. The letter's already created. Send out cards, we already have a message. All you need to do is contact Jacqueline, who handles our send out cards for the team, and you would tell her who you want the card sent out to and which message you want sent, and I believe there's maybe 2 different professional messages to choose from, and if you need to tweak them just a smidge, you could do that as well, and then she will mail it out for you. If you're sending something yourself, you can include our newsletter and a quarter report, or if you have an email address for them, you can email that to them. Always great to follow up with a phone call or visit afterwards. Ask them if they received the information, if they have any questions. If you do visit, you can give them brochures or posters, or if you talk to them on the phone, ask them if they would like that information or if they already have it, if they have enough. And then you can always remind them if they do already have it that on the back of the brochures is contact information for myself, and if they run out or are running low, they can contact me and we'll send more out. If you do find that you want stuff sent to a professional and you don't have enough on hand, I can mail it out for you. I can get it to you. We can work through that, you know, whatever your needs are. We do have these like those little silicone bracelets for kids. They're kid-sized. A lot of times we'll recommend bringing those to audiologist's office and stuff, so when many of them have like treasure chests and things, so that after the child's done with the appointment, they could pick something from the treasure chest. That's a great thing for them to add to that. Now, I'm not saying leave 50 of them there. You know, even a handful is fine, but it's just something, again, to continue getting our name out there. And if you can, try to remember to follow up at least once a quarter or, you know, maybe every 6 months to see if they need more materials or have any questions. A lot of times we find in professionals in our field there's turnover. So it's a great way to know if somebody's left and there's somebody new there, that make sure they know about you too. And then even though it was just a letter or card sent out, I do need you to send in a form to me. It's nothing that you could bill for, because if you didn't specifically talk to them, if you just did a quick email or a letter, but we need to know who we're doing this outreach to make sure that all of us aren't doing outreach to the same place. So the second option, there we go, is whether you give a presentation or overview over the phone. So kind of, you know, expanding on what we just talked about, pretty much the same thing, but if you do this type of presentation where you do, you know, an overview of what the program is and explain who to contact and how we work, you can fill out that outreach form and then bill for a $20 outreach on your timesheet. The third option would be to set up a presentation with the staff or a face-to-face visit. Now, sometimes you can go in and it might be a smaller office, and it might be 2 people that you sit down with. That's fine. Sometimes you can go into an office and they might have once a month like a staff meeting. And so you try to schedule them on that day and take 20 minutes to talk to the whole team. You show the PowerPoint, you give them brochures and newsletters. Interesting, usually the professionals like data, they like the newsletters and stuff. Kind of gives them a feeling of connection. There's a mailing list form where they can fill in their name and email, and you can add them then to our email distribution list. And then you would submit that along with the outreach form on your next timesheet, and then you would bill for $40. The fourth option would be to present at a conference. Again, if you're going to do something like this, just make sure you get it pre-approved from me, especially if your billing is outreach time. I want to make sure it's an appropriate place to present to on us and so forth. Make sure, obviously, your presentation is something about family support and guide by your side and it isn't like how to tie your shoe. Can't bill for something like that. And then make sure you have our materials with you so that if anyone approaches you or wants to take anything back with them, they would have that ability to. Again, filling out your outreach form and sending in your next timesheet and billing for $40 unless your presentation is longer than the 4 hours. And the fifth option would be to actually work a booth. And this is the sample. We have this kit. We have several of these kits in different places of the state. So if you were going to be doing a booth at an Expo conference and you needed a kit, you could just send out a message to the team, find out where it's at or where they're at near you, and arrange to get that. If you're looking at working a booth and it's something you found that I didn't necessarily set up and ask anyone from the team to do, just make sure that you get that conference approved by me. One, if there was any costs included with that conference, registration fees, and then two, making sure that, again, it's an appropriate place for us to be. You'd have your mailing list out on the table that they can fill out, and then all our goodies, and that's all in the kit. And then you would just submit an outreach form with your timesheet, and again, billing for the 40 or 90, depending on how long you were manning that booth. All right, so we do have this little expo, how to set up our booth and everything like that, specifically the banner. So that is, I believe that's on the flash drives you'll get, and if not, it's definitely in our Yahoo group in the file section. So what is in it for professionals? Why, what benefits do they get from hearing about us? Well, again, like I mentioned earlier, creates healthier families that they work with. The families are connected to services, they're happy, it's all good. It allows families to make decisions and hopefully not holding up anything in the process. A lot of times we hear from professionals that, they're dragging on their feet, they don't want to get the implant. And maybe the family has some hesitation. Maybe the family heard that if they did, waited long enough, that technology would come up with something, and then they could choose a different path. Or maybe the family just doesn't know which implant to choose. Or maybe they met somebody with an implant who didn't have maybe as a successful outcome. There could be many things that have held that family back from taking that next step. Maybe that's just not in the family's belief. But for the family to work with somebody who gets it and another parent who understands and is not going to push that family in a direction may allow them to say, yeah, we're not going to get it and this is why, or nope, you know what, we're ready now, and allow them to communicate that with the professional. We've heard that it creates consistency in the family with the appointments and carry through with anything that the therapist maybe want them to do in the meantime, in between appointments. What's in it for you? More referrals. Obviously, when you do outreach in your area, that creates awareness, and then that awareness allows the families to find us and the professionals to refer the families to us. You get to meet other professionals and get more knowledge of what's happening in your area. It broadens your skills by honing those presentation skills and that professional piece of things, and then obviously reimbursement for your time. So outreach form. Again, this is on your flash drive that you guys will get. Pretty much anything that you can think of related to the outreach is on this form, and I do need every spot filled in. Okay, if every spot is not filled in, it will not get paid, especially the follow-up needed. And if you think about it, if you go for a dentist appointment, does the dentist never talk to you ever again? No. Before you leave the office, what do they have you do? They have you fill out a card for 6 months later to come back, right? Same idea. What follow-up are you going to do with this provider? Well, you're going to probably send them a thank you card to thank them for having you come out and allow them to allow you to do a presentation. You might have to mail them materials. You might have to give me the email distribution or mailing list. So a lot of those things will fit in that follow-up area, okay? And if it is someone where you have a mailing list and it's more than just a couple people where they filled it out on that separate sheet, then where it says people to add to mailing list, you could just put see attached, okay? You don't have to transfer the names. So there is some way, I think if you put your mouse next to your name, you can raise your hand. So I don't know if you want to try that out. See if you can raise your hand. There, I see Eva's hand. Kristen, I don't know with you being on your phone if you've got that ability or not. Okay, maybe not. All right.
Yeah, I don't think I do. Sorry.
That's okay. So I just want to see, and Kristen, if you don't, then just let me know. If Eva, if you do, raise your hand. Do you know how to create a PowerPoint? Okay. And then do you know how to show or use a PowerPoint? So if one's been already created, okay, so you know how to pull up a PowerPoint and stuff. So the only time you would need to create a PowerPoint is when we do, after our training in March at the EDDI conference, we will come back and we will pay it forward by creating a mini, each guide will create a mini PowerPoint with a like 10 to 15 minute presentation on something that they learned from a session that they attended. So you will need to know how to create a PowerPoint after that time. There are wonderful videos on YouTube that tell you how to create a PowerPoint, where to start, and what to do. It's really pretty simple. You don't have to get fancy with the slides or anything like that. So that will be the only time really that I think of that you would need to create a PowerPoint. As far as the outreach PowerPoint that we'll show in a little bit, it's already created for you. You just have to know how to bring it up on your computer and how to start it and how to advance the slides. So if you've got that under control, great. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Sometimes, you know, technology isn't our friend, and that's okay. All right, so the following slides are going to be from the Guide by Your Side Outreach PowerPoint. And I'm going to pretty much talk as if, hopefully, I am giving the presentation to professionals. Sorry, I had to take a sip of water here. All right. So today I'm here to talk about our program, Guide by Your Side. In Illinois specifically, it is a collaboration between these three organizations. These three organizations have brought our program to the state and help the program in different ways. And those three organizations are Illinois Hands and Voices, Choices for Parents, and our Illinois EDDI program. And EDDI is Early Hearing Detection and Intervention. And so we're going to talk a little bit about each one of those, give you a little bit background there, and then we'll get more into the meat and potatoes of what Guide by Your Side is. So Hands and Voices, that's actually a national program. It's actually greater than nation now. It's international. And Andrea Marwa is our current chairperson for the program. They provide really more of a group setting or social activities for families. Members get the quarterly newsletter, The Communicator, and memberships are available for professionals and families. And they provide, in addition to the free communicator, but they provide discounted or free events for the families. It really is a great way to kind of stay connected on what's happening throughout the state, and you can join the listserv on the Illinois Hands and Voices website. Choices for Parents is coordinated by Carrie Valian. It's a statewide coalition of parents and professionals, and currently the coalition is 26 members, 26 organizations. We provide information, resources, advocacy, and referrals. We offer the Children in Hearing Loss Notebook absolutely free to families, and for professionals that may want it, it's only $15. Each spring we host an Eddie Day that allows us to recognize leaders within our field. We go out into schools with our READ program, providing free books to families with children who have a hearing loss, and then we bring in even a guest reader to read to the children. And we provide free sign language classes in spoken Spanish. Our Illinois Eddie program is actually comprised of 3 different Illinois government agencies. One of them being the Department of Public Health, the other one being the UIC DFCC, Division of Specialized Care for Children, and the third one being Department of Human Services. And so these 3 agencies work together in various ways to create our Eddie program. And our Eddie coordinator currently in the state is Ginger Mullen. She's housed at the Public Health Office. These agencies work together to identify and provide services to children who have a hearing loss. And their main charge is to focus on the 1-3-6 model. That being, their babies are screened by 1 month old, they have a diagnosis by 3 months old, and they're receiving early intervention services no later than 6 months old. So the 1-3-6 is really the end of the timeline for those things to happen. They really want to make sure that families are getting those things even before that time if possible. So they came together and created Guide by Your Side. And so they help out fiscally, they help out with leadership and program support. And as you can see, the Guide by Your Side logo is very similar to the Hands of Voices logo. That is because it is a sister program of Hands of Voices. Hands of Voices, again, like I said, is more of group events and support, whereas the Hands of Voices is more of the group support and event, whereas Guide by Your Side is the one-on-one support. And you can kind of see that in our logo here is there's the child's hand, the parent's hand, and the guide's hand, and all of those working together to create support for the family. So Guide by Your Side is a program designed to provide emotional, unbiased support and specialized knowledge from trained parents of children who are deaf or hard of hearing. So our team, all of us are parents of children with hearing loss, and we go through additional extensive training, ongoing training actually, and we provide our support to these families through sharing our own journey if that's what the family is looking for, or sharing resources, helping them get connected with programs, and then making sure that the family has all the tools that they need to make the decisions that they have to. And we're not going to push them one way or another to choose one path or another. Whatever works for the family makes it the right choice. So a little history about where Guide by Your Side came from. It was actually first started up in Wisconsin in 2004 by a parent, and it became a program of Hands of Voices National. Since 2004, it has been implemented in 19 regions. And I say regions because it's outside of the United States as well. And there are other regions in the startup process. So this is very exciting because a lot of our states have a Guide by Your Side program which allows us to connect families over the borders. But it's also exciting because other countries have taken advantage of the program as well. And you can kind of see here in my quick little map all those states with the orange around us, and I only did the ones around us, are ones that currently have Guide by Your Side programs up and running, which is great. So really a large portion of our state for families that cross over the border for services, or for families that might be in another neighboring state but come over into Illinois for services, they also have Guide by Your Side programs. And we have utilized the other programs, whether we had an Illinois family looking for services across the border because they lived more closer that way and they wanted to see what events were happening, or professionals were available, or we've had, for instance, Wisconsin families contact us to see what we had to offer and asked if they could participate in our events. So it's really helpful that we have these strong connections with the other chapters. So our mission is to support families emotionally after diagnosis. We provide them with unbiased information and resources. We make sure that they're connected to the appropriate services. So do they know about early intervention? Do they know about DSCC? Do they have an IEP for their child? Whatever is appropriate for their situation, we want to make sure that they have those connections. And that we're not going to just be here at the very beginning. We're here throughout the years. We support families with children up to the age of 21. So if they start with our program now and they exit our program, it doesn't mean that they can never come back. We're going to be here whenever they may need help. Some of the benefits of our program is that because the family is working with a guide and they understand what's available to them, they have support, they have somebody to talk to, it lowers the loss to follow-up. So they're going to continue through with those appointments and those commitments. They're going to ensure that their child is properly taken care of. We offer a bridge between diagnosis and intervention. Sometimes families come to us just after their child's diagnosed. They haven't even started early intervention. They don't have the tools that they need. Maybe their child is older and they don't even have an IEP with a hearing loss diagnosis. So we're going to make sure that those families know what is available to them. We can connect them with other families if that's what they're looking for, aside from working with that guide directly. Again, most importantly, we offer unbiased information. We're not going to tell them what to do. We're disability specific. All of us on the team have children with hearing loss. We may have children with additional needs outside of the hearing loss, but first and foremost, we all have that hearing loss experience. And I've already talked about connecting families with state services. Most importantly, our program is free. There is no cost to professionals to refer. There is no cost for families to participate. The program is absolutely free. Our guides are paid for our time, and we find that that holds the guide to that professional level, makes them accountable, and to work with the family in a timely manner. So speaking of parent guides, our guidelines for our parent guide is that they are a parent or a guardian of a child who is deaf or hard of hearing. They come in, they complete an application, go through extensive interviews, and after they're hired, they have an initial training. And then, like I mentioned, we have ongoing monthly trainings at which they must complete 80% of those ongoing trainings throughout the year to stay active as a guide. Our guides are paid independent contractors, and we work as a team with our supporting agencies, therapists, and deaf mentors. We are not the therapist. We work alongside with the therapist and always refer back to the professionals if the family have any questions. So currently our team consists of 18, one being the program coordinator, and then 17 guides. They are spread out within our state. We do have a parent guide who is deaf, as well as had children who had a hearing loss herself. We have 2 guides who are Spanish speaking, and then we have several parent guides who have children who are deaf plus. So this would be where the child has hearing loss but additional needs as well, whether that's ADHD or syndrome. There's something else aside from the hearing loss. Most importantly, too, our team varies in the communication choices, amplification, educational choices, and the degrees of loss within their child and then their family's needs. So that's really important. We learn from each other. We learn what it's like to have a child with a unilateral loss. We've had guides who have homeschooled. And so we learn from all these experiences, and that makes our experiences even more broad and able to really help our families and really show that we have a lot to offer. So we've broken up our parent guide regions kind of odd if you look at it, actually, but it did make sense when we did it. We wanted to make sure that we weren't going to be breaking up any CFC offices or sharing any CFC offices within regions. So that's one of the reasons why we did that. And then obviously Cook County is very populated, so that's why it's its own little region there. And as you get into the more rural parts of the state, the regions are larger. Typically what we do is if a guide from Cook County comes to us, they will be matched with a parent guide within Cook County. They know the resources or sometimes lack of resources best. Sometimes, though, there are reasons to match the family with a guide outside of the region, and that may happen. But for the most part, we try to stick within our region. It also allows the family to meet with the guide if they would like. So a little bit insight here to what happens when a parent guide and family get matched. So after a family is matched with a parent guide, the parent guides have to reach out to the family within 48 hours of receiving the information from the coordinator. They can support the family in person, over the phone, email, text, Skype, whatever works for the guide and the family is approved support from us. Again, if that family is looking to connect with other families or that have a similar story or within their area, we can do that if that's what the family is looking for. But most importantly, we're here to empower the family. Let them know that they can handle this and that they can look for resources and know where to look for resources by giving them the information and allowing them to know how we found that too. So that this way when they're done working with the guide, they can continue to work and be that advocate for their family. So the parent guides help families learn about the needs of their child by listening to them, offering unbiased information, possibly sharing their own family experiences, and suggesting strategies. And this could be as simple as, how do you stop the squealing of the hearing aid? What do you do when the child wants to sleep over at a friend's house? Simple things like that. If we can ease the family's mind and reduce that stress, it just makes for a happier family. After the family is done working with the guide, the program coordinator sends them a survey, this feedback form, and then they send it back to the program coordinator. And we close the family's file. So you might be asking, how do you refer a family? You can have the family sign an information release form, which will allow you to share their information with us, and you can then contact the program coordinator through phone, email, or fax with that family's information. And that could be as simple as name, address, email, phone, and child's name and birth date if you'd like. You can give them our brochure at which they can fill out and mail in. Or the family can call or email the coordinator directly. Any one of those ways is certainly acceptable and quick and easy. So if you're a visual learner, I'm just kind of going through the process here. So the referral comes into the coordinator. They go through a simple questionnaire to get some basic family information so the coordinator knows where that family lives, what their needs are, and then she will match them with their parent guide. They'll work one-on-one with their parent guide, and when they're done working with their parent guide, the parent guide will close their file, and the program coordinator will finish up with the family by sending them their feedback form. So when a family does exit the program, it's not just like we are, okay, washing our hands of the family. We actually encourage them to join our Hands of Voices chapter so they can continue to network with families, stay up to date on what services and opportunities are available, and really just continue to have that connection. They don't feel like they've been just pushed aside. And so really our goal is to continue to offer that, but through more of a group venue. So we're going to do a quick little review here, see if I did my job well. Tell me what you think. Raise your hand and if you know the answer to what age range of children does Guide by Your Side serve?
And then this answer would be up to the age of 21. What type of hearing loss does Guide by Your Side serve? The answer would be all. What parts of Illinois do we serve? That answer would be all. Who can refer a family to Guide by Your Side? And that could be anyone. What does it cost to participate in Guide by Your Side? That would be free. And so, again, just reiterating, we help families with children who have a hearing loss from birth through 21 that are residents of Illinois. And sometimes we've had the case where a family was looking at transitioning into Illinois from another state, and they wanted to kind of do some legwork beforehand and figure out what they maybe already visited a neighborhood, have a potential home or an area that they're looking at to move into, and we have connected them with a guide to kind of give them some more information, help them start making those connections before they move out here. To kind of give you a little background, our program started end of May in 2009, and so this is about 4 years worth of data here that I have. And within those 4 years, we served over 380 families, so close to 95 families a year, which is pretty good. They were expecting 30 families a year our first year, and we had 30 families within our first 3 months. And that really was from the support of the providers that we were working with and networked with, and the belief in our program and the need of our program. So for insurance, the families that have come to us, the majority of the families are all kids Medicaid. So keep that in mind. Are you serving families with all kids and Medicaid? Look at what a large chunk of those families out there have and the struggles that they have because they have all kids and Medicaid and not a private insurance plan. Now, newborn hearing screening results, remember these are reported by the parent, so maybe the parent was a little foggy on this, and so that large was not screened, which if you think about over 4 years, 4 to 6 children, that's an average of, 12, 11 kids a year. That's not too bad, but some of them were not screened because perhaps they were adopted, and in the area that they were from, they did not do screening. But you can see a large portion of the children that we do get did not pass their hearing screening. And those children that did pass were later identified. Language documented as primary language, the major portion being English and then secondary being Spanish or English-Spanish. So again, do you provide materials to families in Spanish? But know that we do support those families and we do have native Spanish speakers able to assist those families. Our primary age of enrollment is birth to a year, and then following up with the 2 to 3. We get a lot in the 2 to 3 category because of families before they transition out of early intervention feel that they need support for that process and that transition. And so we tend to get quite a few in there. And the 6 and up is a large number, but again, that's also 6 to 21. That's a large age range, so that would be expected to be higher. So in those 4 years, where did we get referrals from? And you can see a wide variety of areas here. And so I want you to really keep an open mind with this, that really referrals can come from anywhere, whether that's a brochure, the website, our Guide by Your Side national program, outreach that we've done, Part C being early intervention and their providers, Part B being school systems, reopened families, so a family that was with us, their file closed and they came back, Guide by Your Side referring other families to us. So really a wide variety of resources here and referrals. So don't think that it can't be you, because this shows that that is not the case. So you might be thinking, okay, you pay these guides, how do you fund the program? Well, a large portion of our funding is with a contract with our EDDI program. However, we do fundraising throughout the year to support our program as well. And some of the fundraising that we do is we have a Shop with Script program, which are gift cards. And you can just go online at shopwithscript.com, you sign up using our enrollment code, and then you would order a gift card. And they have something called Script Now. And Script Now are wonderful because if you forgot it was Aunt Lucy's birthday and you're running out the door, you don't have to run to a store. You can print off a gift card right from your home, and then we would earn a % of that. You would have your gift card in your hands before you even left the door. You put that in the card and go on your way, and you don't have to worry about stopping at a second location. So it's really handy. If you order a $25 gift card, you get the actual full value of the $25. You pay $25, but we earn a percentage of that. And each vendor varies a little bit. There's several hundred vendors, everything from as simple as Target and gas stations up to travel and hotels. And then each one offers a different percentage, and those percentages change throughout the year. But they really do add up. The other things that we participate in is a Walk for Hearing in the Lincoln Park area. It's typically September, October. They change a little bit each year. We also will be hosting a silent auction and dinner in April in the Naperville area. You can head to our Hands of Voices website and click on our auction tab there and learn more about that. If you are looking to offer support, whether you have an in-kind donation, you have resources to share with us, or financial support, maybe you're interested in participating in one of our events or one of our trainings, you want to refer a parent to us, any of those reasons, you can contact our coordinator. Their contact information is there. You can also find us on Facebook. Our Facebook page is Illinois Guide by Your Side. We also have an Illinois Hands of Voices page. Feel free to go through any of those menus to get to us. And I want to just end here with sharing this dear family here and what she had to say about her participation in our program. And she had shared that Guide by Your Side is such a valuable program and truly helped my family when we found out about our son's hearing loss. I'm not sure I would feel so confident in my son's future were it not for the conversations I had with my parent guide. So I just want to thank you for your time tonight, and I would love to answer any questions that you may have. All right, so that is the spiel. Do you guys have any questions about that before we start post-test? All right, so if you guys want to go ahead and answer the post-test, that would be fabulous. Number 1, you can provide outreach to professionals by A, manning a booth, B, sending a letter, C, giving a presentation, D, visiting an office and giving them a presentation, or E, all the above. All right. 2, when you provide outreach, you should send in a completed outreach form. True or false? Three, by doing outreach with providers, they learn how and which families can enroll in Guide by Your Side. True or false? Okay. Question 4. The mission of Guide by Your Side is to A, change the world, B, provide unbiased information and resources, C, tell them what to do because no one told us, D, provide as much outreach as humanly possible, or E, answer C and D. All right, and question 5. Guide by Your Side parent guides are so well trained that they can stand in for the audiologist when the family needs help troubleshooting audiological equipment. True or false? All right, wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.